see the live. I see it.
Okay, if everyone would just mute yourself until it's time for you to address council, that would be appreciated.
All right. Good morning. I want to call to order the the Human Resources Appointment and Equity Committee meeting. Today is October the 20th. Council Clerk, will you please call the roll?
On the roll, Ms. Brown,
Here.
Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Jones. Oh, Mr. Gallagher is here. Mr. Jones is absent today. Mr. Miller,
Here.
Ms. Conwell,
Present.
we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to excuse Councilman Jones's absence today. Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. It's been moved and second. If there are no questions, comments, or concerns regarding that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, and as we, most of us know, that Councilman Jones lost his father last week, and he is honoring his father this week in celebration of his life. And so we just want to give a brief moment of silence and recognition for that loss. All right, thank you very much. Okay. Before we go into the approval from the minutes, do we have any public comment?
No, Madam Chair, there was no submission of public comment.
Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 6th meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been seconded by everyone. So take your pick, Council Clerk. If there are no objections, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the matters referred to the committee.
Resolution number 2020-0221, confirming the county executive's appointment of Chief Michael Cannon to serve on the Cuyahoga County Corrections Planning Board for an unexpired term ending January 1st, 2022.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to Director Pomerantz if you'll give us a little bit of background here, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of County Executive Budish, we are pleased to nominate for the Cuyahoga County Corrections Planning Board Chief Mike Cannon for an unexpired term ending January 1st, 2022, replacing Christopher P. Byland. And both Chief Cannon as well as the County Corrections Planning Board Executive Director Marty Murphy are here to help support with any questions. Thank you.
The question I have is did Chief Byland step down, or was its term up, or where is he gone? I know he was with
Chief Byland took another position, I think with the city of Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken, and as such could not continue in this role.
Okay, all right, thank you. That helps me out. Are there any other questions from the committee for Director Pomerantz? All right, if there are none, I see Mr. Cannon, Chief Cannon, you are on the call. I would ask you right now to take this opportunity, if you will unmute yourself and give us a little bit of your background and share with us why you would like to serve in this capacity.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, again, Mike Cannon here, Chief with the Hunting Valley Police. I'm in a current 2-year stint as the president of the Cuyahoga County Police Chiefs Association. I was 31 years at Pepper Pike, ending as their police chief, came over to Hunting Valley as the chief and the village administrator. Worked on a few county boards, and I think I would have some good input for the corrections board. Mostly, I think, as a conduit for other chiefs in the area. And we're currently working on use of force policy, getting a consensus on that. And so I kind of know how to get things done throughout the county, and that's it. That's me.
Well, thank you for that. You mentioned use of force and the policy that you're introducing. So are you introducing that amongst the chief of police departments throughout the county, or is that something you are doing specifically in Hunting Valley, or something you left with Pepper Pike?
It was actually through the Chiefs Association, and we put a small subgroup together with Chief Williams from Cleveland, and Chief Williams from the Federal Reserve, the President of Noble, Chief Mason, and really trying to work with the NAACP. And we actually we had voted on this week to approve our principles that we're going to be submitting. And so that should be coming out this week, actually. So we're pretty excited. We're going to be working with the NFL, the NBA, Noble, and I think we're all on the same page. So it's kind of exciting to get this done. It took a lot of work, a lot of people involved, and I think we came to a positive consensus.
Well, that's good. I won't speak for the body, but I would believe that everyone on this call and committee is encouraged and excited to hear that, and we'll look forward to learning more about that. If we are so privileged, if you could share that with us, I think that would be something we'd all like to lay our eyes on. The other thing, as it relates to your leadership, which I'm pleased to hear of all of the working relationships that you've shared with us with regards to some of the platforms that we utilize. I've been in conversations with Randy Carney about the possibility of reconfiguring our 911 platform to also avail itself to mental health services in the event that, when someone calls and there's someone who's mentally ill or has a record of, history of mental health issues, that we better arm our officers with that social justice component, or a social worker. Can you share with me a little bit how you might feel, or if you see that even being a reality that we could achieve in Cuyahoga County?
Honestly, I think I don't see a policeman out there that wouldn't embrace having someone with that training come along with us. We would certainly be there as their backup if we needed, and also train ourselves to better recognize a person in distress. I know Cleveland's been very proactive in their CIT program, and the suburbs are working on it as well.
Crisis intervention. We don't all know. So what's CIT?
Oh yeah, my cop speak. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We just did something through Tri-C, and it's currently going on right now. Chief Harris availed through your grants, through Cuyahoga County grants. There are 8 hours of virtual training going on right now. Mm-hmm. But it ends in an 8-hour live simulation with actors and everything at the Tri-C Simulation Village. So that's kind of in concert with what you're talking about. But I wouldn't wholly embrace having social workers as an on-call entity, is just like with police officers. It would take a lot of doing to get a lot of people involved and employed, though.
I do realize that it's a heavy lift, and this is probably a conversation that could go on for a very long time. And I know we have a lot of candidates before us, but it is important for the conversation and to me for your appointment to understand where your thoughts are, because I certainly hope that in the future we're able to intersect the mental health organizations that are already in place, but just sometimes for lack of knowledge, we don't know how to reach those entities. Everyone's familiar with 911. So that is the go-to number when we find ourselves in crisis or a situation where we feel like we need to have some type of intervention. But the way I envision it, and this is, again, just somewhat personal, a personal issue or matter, but that Brandy and I have talked about, but I envision it as opposed to police, fire, ambulance, or intervention, and then instead of just going straight to a police officer or an ambulance, people can kind of say, this isn't the type of situation that would warrant a police officer, but can you get me somebody that's already skilled and trained and 24 hours available to intervene on this issue that we wouldn't want to escalate to a dangerous situation. So that's just my personal hope that we can, because the resources, the people are there. It's just a matter of connecting everybody, because I understand it is a big lift, but the people are in place we just don't know how to connect with them in those emergency situations, but we're all very familiar with 911. So if we could somehow just add that component magically, I think the world would be a better place, Chief Cannon. So that's
I
enough.
agree.
That's enough for me. I will open it up to my colleagues if they have any questions or comments they'd like to add with regards to your candidacy.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Councilman Miller.
thank you. And to Chief Cannon, thank you very much for stepping up and being willing to serve us in this very significant capacity. And my question is whether the Corrections Planning Board is active in trying to help come up with ways to divert people who really don't need to be in jail and to reduce the jail populations in our correction system, and if so, what are the strategies that you're working on?
Good morning, Councilman. I probably could better answer that. Marty Murphy from the Corrections Planning Board. The Corrections Planning Board does have a pool of funding. It's Community Corrections Act, pre-trial funding, and it is therefore working to do diversions to get low-level misdemeanors out of the jail as quickly as possible, and to take a look at people who may be able to have their case bled down. Unfortunately, it is, of all of our community corrections funds, one of the smallest pools that we have to work with, because being state funds, I think that there's a heavy degree of emphasis to money going to post-conviction versus pre-conviction, and keeping post-convicted felons out of the state system. So in a nutshell, yes, there is funding. Yes, we do work with that, but it's not a huge piece. Some of the things we work with it are especially substance abuse and domestic violence.
So to follow up on that, my question to Chief Cannon would be, what do you think that the Corrections Planning Board could do in the way of program and policy development that would help these initiatives move forward?
Well, to Mr. Murphy's point, I know the drug court is part of the process now, which helps divert some of the drug-related drug abuse people. And just in Shaker Court, I know we use payment ability hearings. So we're not putting people in custody. We just give them a bond, and just almost like, because we're not holding them on, they have an inability to pay, a cash bond, basically giving them an out. So we're not putting them in custody there. So those are a couple things that I've seen has worked as a positive. Then I would just honestly work with the board to see what they have in place, and I could reach out to the rest of the county chiefs to see if they've had any experiences that have been positive or negative, and then learn from those.
So I would just conclude by saying that I believe that reducing unnecessary incarcerations is one of the most important things that our community needs to do to reduce racial and other disparities that continue to persist in our community. So I would encourage you to continue to be active in this area and to assist in any way that you can to help bring these things about. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Miller. Any other questions for my colleagues or the committee? All right, excellent. There being none, I'm not sure. Well, this would, I guess, would need to go under second reading suspension to replace the prior chief. So I'm going to make a motion to move this under second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second, Conwell.
Second, Will. If there are no questions, comments, or concerns, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, Chief Cannon, this will move to the full body of the council. Thank you for taking your time out to join us today. You are, I'm sure you have plenty to do, although Cunning Valley is a pretty quiet community, but I'm guessing in your other capacities, you might have your hands full with the other chiefs in now your future role. So thank you for your willingness to serve in this capacity. If you need to go, we totally understand. Thank you again. All right, Council Clerk, would you read the next item into the record, please?
Thanks, everybody.
Resolution number 2020-0222, confirming the county executive's appointment or reappointment of various individuals to serve on the Cuyahoga Regional HIV Health Services Planning Council for the term October 28, 2020 to October 27, 2023.
All right, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, Director Pomerantz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The goal of the Cuyahoga Regional HIV Health Service Planning Council is to identify HIV-positive individuals and to link them into appropriate care and living situations to improve health outcomes. Is comprised of transitional grant areas, including Ashtabula, Cuyahoga, Geauga, Lake, Lorraine, and Medina counties. And the Membership and Outreach Committee of the Cuyahoga Regional HIV Health Services Planning Council recommends the nominees based on satisfying the membership guidelines as outlined in the 2009 Ryan White Treatment Extension Act, matching membership positions that were needed on the Planning Council and those where acknowledged the time requirements for membership. On behalf of these requirements, the county and on behalf of the county executive, we are pleased to recommend the following appointments: Billy D. Grayhart Jr., Darius Houston, Tracy Lamar Johnson, Leander Lovett, Jeff Mazos, Julie Patterson, Faith Ross, William Simpson, and Stephanie Washington, and the reappointment of Kimberlyn Dennis. And both Melissa Rodrigo from the Cuyahoga County Board of Health is here to support any questions as well. And I do believe that all of the participants, except for Tracy Lamar Johnson, are here joining us today on the Zoom call to help support any questions. Thank you.
I'll open it up to my colleagues if there are any questions for the director. Going once, going twice. All right, excellent. All right, our first candidate or nominee up for appointment is Billy Gayhart Jr. You know what? Before I let you go, Mr. Gayhart, I want to ask Ms. Pomerantz. This is a healthy list of new appointments. How many people are on the commission? The council.
I believe there are 40 members of this board that serve staggering terms.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Melissa might be able to answer a little bit more.
Michelle, if I could answer to help you. So with this, we have 35 members of our board. This is a list of 25. We'll have 25 active members. As long as we meet our federal requirements of having at least 33% unaffiliated clients that receive our services, that is kind of our main goal, is to make sure we have a good representative of folks that obtain the Ryan White Part A services, so we can make sure that we are meeting client needs. That's really what the federal requirements are. We do have a hefty amount of folks coming on and off. We had a substantial amount of folks change positions, which impact our community role. And we typically only bring the folks to county council about once a year, just to kind of limit how much work goes into all the appointments. But I know it's a hefty lift over in our area and at the county. If that answers your question.
That is helpful. The other thing I would ask of either of you with regards to the number here, these are all new. Are they? How are you involved in the selection, or do they make applications? So how does, and I'll ask each one, but just for it might be easier, simpler if you just say yes. We this is how we identify. So if you could share that with me.
Sure. There's a formal application process that we have posted on our website. Anyone can apply. We do ask that folks attend meetings 2 to 3 before they are appointed or considered. The membership council of the membership committee of the Ryan White Planning Council does formal interviews with a panel to gauge interest and to make sure the person's a good fit. And then the folks are voted on by council for acceptance before they are presented to county council.
Okay, that's also helpful. All right, thank you very much. Okay, with
You're
that
welcome.
said, I am going to return to Mr. Billy Gayhart Jr. If you'll give us a little bit of your background and why you like to serve on this committee. If you'll unmute yourself and we'll get started. Are you on the call?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, first off, let me apologize. I have a really bad connection. I live in the country, so hopefully y'all can hear me clearly.
You sound
Yep.
excellent.
Okay. Presently, I have never served on any council or committee, but I have been on the Ryan White Planning Council for over a year as a member in training. So this appointment that we're doing today has been a long and patient process that I have been waiting on for quite a while. I have been fully involved with the Planning Council for the entire year, to the extent that I actually have the highest attendance record at coming in place as number 1. Also, I serve as someone who is on the outside of Cuyahoga County. I presently live in Lorain County, so I get to represent Lorain and Medina County for the Planning Council and be a voice for those that are out here, so that I can provide information, any feedback that they need, and do the work that I need to do out here. This is something that I have really longed for, because I had no idea it was this extensive and this overwhelming, but I guarantee you I am 1000% involved. I am 1000% excited to be on this council, because it has been an eye-opener and a privilege to serve on it this long so far.
That is good to hear. I guess the obvious question that I would ask is, given the COVID situation, we aren't doing a lot of meetings in person, and I know we certainly don't want to hold your location against you, but as we do, as we begin to convene meetings and more virtually, do you anticipate that your circumstances will remain the same or will be changing? And I don't think it'll be a deciding factor, but I think it is a question that we should ask given the circumstances.
No, every meeting that I've attended so far has been very good. Unfortunately, with my internet service I have, when it rains, it's really bad. So I'm like literally using my phone to do this meeting right now without the internet provider that I have. So I'm just using it strictly through my phone. But no, I really don't have any problems other than that.
Okay, we appreciate your ingenuity. I will open it up to my colleagues if they have any other questions, comments, or concerns. And just so you know, I don't know if you can see us, but Melissa's giving you a very, very affirmative nod with regards to your participation. So that's good news. So if there are no additional questions or comments or concerns from my colleagues with regards to Mr. Gayhart Jr.'s appointment.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
Yes, if they could answer why they wanted to be a part of this organization, that would be helpful. And Mr. Gayhart may have mentioned that, but I may have missed it.
Yeah, he kind of said this was a lifelong type of passion that he had. But I won't speak for him, Mr. Gayhart. If you'll reiterate or just expound upon your desire to serve.
Well, quite simply, as a person living with, it has always been a passion of mine to speak up for those that are not able to speak up, to be a voice for those that need help, guidance, assistance, some way to find any type of resolution that their needs in their life that they need. because there has been times that I was lost to where I didn't know where to turn to. And the more that I get involved, I'm realizing, oh, wow, I can be this voice for this person over here that doesn't know what to do or where to find help. And then I can, guide them to where they need to go. And being on this council has actually opened up so many opportunities for me as a person that lives in Lorain County to understand what the processes are and where to find this information.
Is that okay, Councilwoman Conwell? Any other questions?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right, good. If there are no further questions, thank you, Mr. Gayhart, for joining us today. We do appreciate your willingness to serve in this capacity. With that said, we have to go through all of the appointments before we can make a motion. So you're welcome to stay if you'd like, or if you have to go, we understand that as well. This again might be a little bit of a lengthy meeting, so we have done some accommodations to those who have notified us that they may have to depart early. And in that case, with that being said, I'd like to move on to our next nominee, which will be William Simpson, who I would like to have present on his behalf with his desire to serve in this capacity, because I do understand you have to depart from us. So Mr. Simpson, you're on. You're unmuted. If you give us a little bit of background and share with us why you'd like to serve in this capacity.
Hi, my name is William Simpson. Actually, I used to work for the AIDS Task Force as a case manager and as a program manager, I'm sorry. So this field has been very intriguing to me because I am a person living with HIV as well too. So as far as me living with it, and I had a chance to be able to understand some of the process, able to understand how to be able to get other people to understand better how they can be able to manage this. So on that note, I feel like I have the capacity to be able to teach and also be able to recommend different services for people in order to be healthy during this, going through what I'm going through as well too. Also too, I mentor a lot of other people that are dealing with what I'm dealing with. For me to have to deal with what I'm dealing with, I'm very healthy. When people look at me, they're really surprised when I even tell them I am dealing with this on a regular basis. But by the grace of God, I'm able to be healthy and be able to just help people get through whatever they need to get through and understand that this is not a life-threatening, I don't want to say disease, but this is not a life-threatening thing that happens to people. You're able to live a full life through this process. I've been very resilient. I got my bachelor's degree. Also working on my master's degree right now. So I'm just willing to work and just show people that I'm able to assist them and help them manage through this and become healthy and productive individuals in our society.
Thank you very much. I'll open it up to my colleagues if you have any questions for Mr. Simpson, because he will have to leave after this. Going once, going twice, Mr. Simpson, you've gotten off very easy today. So thank you for your willingness to serve in this capacity. I understand you have another commitment that you have to attend to, so we understand if you have to depart. But thank you again for your willingness to come. These appointments are very important, that the people and this body are able to put a name and a face and a voice with the individuals who are seeking to be a part of these councils. So it's very important that you, and we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come, and look forward to your service in the future. Thank you for inviting me. All right. Our next candidate, we're going to go in reverse to Darius Houston. Mr. Houston, I believe, are you on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. So now you are up. If you'll give us a little bit of background and share with us why you'd like to serve in this capacity.
Hi, my name is Darius Houston. I'm actually a program manager / life coach of a program at the AIDS Task Force of Greater Cleveland. I predominantly work with youth ages 18 to 29 to help them become virally suppressed. They're Black and they're LGBT, gay youth. I want to serve on this community because I'm 29 and I am a big advocate for youth and young people. I've discovered that in this industry of HIV and AIDS that we don't have a lot of Black young gay males doing this kind of work, and we're having a lot of conversations about them at the table, but they're not at the table with us. So I want to kind of be that voice to represent for the youth and young people. I'm a big advocate and a big leader in the LGBTQ community. I own the only Black gay bar, social lounge, and that's a safe place for our community to come and, you know, just be ourselves, where we express ourselves through ballroom, through culture, through everything that we like to do. And I like to keep that space for the minority, because we don't have a place to go that's safe for us. I have a lot of friends who, when I first came out, dealt with HIV and AIDS. I've had people who I've seen die, and, you know, it was very traumatizing to me. And so I've always had an interest in wanting to know more about it and how I can be helpful and be an advocate and help young people and even older people, anybody, navigate through life with going through everything else they're going through. You know, my first thing is I'm a big person about housing, because I believe that housing is healthcare. And so that's a big part of why I wanted to come to this community, because my dream is to open up a LGBT shelter to house youth, house anybody that identifies as LGBTQ, because we don't get the same type of treatment in a normal shelter. We get it 10 times worse. So a lot of times we don't fit the HUD definition of homelessness, because in our community, we rather go and stay at a friend's house or sleep on the floor versus go sit in a shelter, because it's not safe for us. We get molested, we get raped, we get abused, and we have to fight 10 times harder. So I just want to be a person that can help, that can shed light on situations that are going on in my community, that can effectively communicate for my people, because we don't have a lot of leadership, you know, and I didn't ask to be a leader of my community. I just wanted to live my life and be able to support myself independently. But so along my journey, I've become this leader and this person that my community looks up to. So I really take that into heart, and I really live my life every day as a leader. And what would somebody say if they see me out doing this and doing that? So, you know, I've kind of settled my life down a lot, because I always want to be that leader for young people that they can look up to. So me being a part of this board will really shed light on this board, me being one of the younger people on the board, to let them know the things that the youth need, the things that Black gay men need, and just the adversities that we go to, and always keeping people living with HIV first whenever we're doing this kind of work.
All right, thank you very much. Well, your clarity and compassion are evident, and I can see why you were selected to be a part of this body. So I'm going to open it up to my colleagues. It looks like Councilman Miller has a question.
Yes, I have more than one. I'm really excited to have you apply for this position. Most of the people we approve onto these boards and commissions are twice your age or more. So we really appreciate the youth diversity. And my first question is if you could tell us a little bit about what it takes to operate a bar and lounge safely in this COVID-19 environment.
So it takes a lot of planning. We're always planning and reconsidering everything that we do. We always try to keep up on like the CDC guidelines. I've spoken with Merle, the director of the health department, and different people, LaRon, just on different ways to be able to safely keep everyone safe. So we do follow like social distancing. We make sure that our employees and everyone coming in has on masks. We try to keep it fun, but we also try to keep it safe. We are always wiping down the bar with, disinfectant, cleaning the bathrooms. We're just very like hyper vigilant on everything that we have to do, because I'm a germaphobe first offhand anyway. So these are things we were already doing. And so once COVID hit, we were already prepared to continue to do those things, but even more. So my staff is always wiping down, always cleaning up, always spraying bleach and anything you can think of. And then just making sure that people are still having fun, but we're having safe fun.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And we all know that HIV more predominantly impacts the African American community and the LGBTQ community. And my question is, what things do you think can best be done to reduce these disparities?
So the thing about it, what I always say is education is a big piece, because what I've come to learn is that a lot of young people are not fully educated on how the virus is spread. A lot of them don't understand what U equals U is, undetectable is untransmittable. They don't know the value of taking their medications as the doctor prescribes. So one thing at my bar is we always have our condoms. We pass them out there free. We always make sure to keep that kind of, we always try to make sure to keep, safe sex measures around at any point. I always try to educate anytime I'm with a client, a friend, anybody. I always have to have that open conversation, and you can ask me any type of questions. But I think education is a big piece for this community because we have a lack of education, we have a lack of comprehension and understanding, and sometimes we have an overload of information that when a lot of our young people go to doctor's appointments, they don't really understand what the doctor is saying. But since I'm a person who's in the field and I understand, sometimes it's better if I'm like, hey, let me, put this in layman's terms for you so you can kind of understand. Because a lot of times we have to meet people where they are and they don't really understand the way a doctor is explaining things. And a lot of people in the African American community don't have the best relationships with doctors and healthcare workers and things like that. So me being a person that's kind of in the middle, I can kind of bridge that gap of communication with them.
And Madam Chair, my final question is in the community that you're working with. I'm talking about young people, African American, LGBT community, working with HIV. In this community, how much interest is there in this community in voting? And are you doing anything to encourage people to vote in the election this year?
I don't know how many of them are actually voting, but I do definitely preach about voting because when they have a lot of issues about the policies and politics and the people who are making these decisions, I always try to tell them, you have to vote so you can be a voice of change. We get so caught up on the presidential election that we forget that we have to vote for, the legislative branch, the judicial branch, because those are the branches who really make the difference. The president is there and he's the higher power of the country, but he has to answer to the other branch of government. So we always forget to go back and vote for that other branch. So that's a part of the education piece that I try to voice to my young people, that remember, after we vote for the president, go back in that next 2 weeks and vote for that legislative branch. Make sure that you get the House to favor in whatever party you want to vote for. So if you're going to be Democrat, you want that that Congress to be Democrat, or if you want to be Republican, you want the Congress to be Republican. But it doesn't help if they're going against who your president is. So I do make a big point. I do a lot of advocating through social media, especially during COVID. When I do see people, a lot of young people, especially at the task force, we're really big on voting. We don't care if you have to leave work and stand in line for hours, stand there, stay there and vote. So we are really big on that, and your voice makes a difference. And we just try to emphasize the importance of that.
So, Madam Chair, I would just like to close that by saying that I am truly enthusiastic about bringing your youth and level of energy to this board, and I would take 10 more if I could find them. So thank you very much for all that you're doing, and we really appreciate you stepping up. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Darius, your enthusiasm is Darius. Is it Darius?
Darius.
Darius. Okay, your enthusiasm and compassion and passion are contagious, and so I think everyone would agree. At least I do with Councilman Miller. So thank you for joining us today. And I feel bad for the next person, Leander Lovett. So you got a tough act to follow, Leander. So Leander, if you're on the call, and I say that just in jest, but there's no competition here. We love and appreciate anybody that's willing to serve in this capacity. So Leander, I understand Tracy Lamar Johnson is not going to be able to attend, so we will have that name. We will amend the legislation so Tracy Lamar Johnson can be reviewed at a later time. But Leander Lovett, if you are on the call, if you will unmute yourself and share with us a little bit of your background and why you'd like to serve in this capacity. Uh-oh, Leander, I didn't mean to scare you off. Mr. Houston was good, but we still need to hear from you. So if you're not on the call, we're going to move on. If you're having some technical difficulties, we understand. I think we'll come back to Leander. The next candidate I have on my list, and I believe there was a Jeffrey Mazzo. Am I saying that right, Jeff? Okay. All right. So Jeffrey, if you're on the call, if you will unmute yourself and share with us a little bit about your background and why you'd like to share, why you'd like to serve in this capacity.
Well, good morning to everybody. And
good morning.
I just also want to say that we always start our meetings with a moment of silence for those no longer living with HIV/AIDS, and our allies that have put a lot of care in being caregivers for us when needed. So if we could just take a moment of silence for that purpose, welcome that. All right, well, my name is Jeff. Sorry, Councilman Miller, I happen to be aged. I have been living with the virus for 18 years. I'm in a relationship with my partner who has been living with HIV for 25 years. What I bring to the Ryan White Planning Council is that I am an advocate about making sure that our community has opportunities to get tested and also get into care and stay into care. And thank you for Ryan White for being the model for the importance of having care opportunities and being the payee of last resort, so no one should be not able to have the health pathway in living with HIV and getting medications. I have been on council before. I had done maybe 3 terms, and I felt at that time it was important for me to have someone else have a seat on Ryan White Planning Council. But I'm back with, and my motto is ensuring that the long-term survivors have the continuing care that they may need. No one would ever thought that we would have a population that is thriving and being able to live and have life and continue on. But we struggle in a way with mental health, sometimes with addiction because of the loneliness of it sometimes. I happen to be an advocate that wants to shatter that concept of stigma. So I stand for those voices that are not as vibrant. I give back to my community. I stay in contact. I have maybe 225 people that I know living with HIV/AIDS, and You know, we always have conversations through Zoom now, and just about our needs and our wants in moving forward with life. So I guess I'm rambling on. I'm tired. I just came off a 12-hour shift working at Amazon. So bear with me. So thank you for the time. I hope that gives you some insight of who and what I am as a person, but who and I am standing in the community that, as Billy said, be their voice.
Awesome. Well, we thank you for your willingness to serve, and especially given your long day coming in bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for this meeting. We do appreciate that. And I think it's important to note that the body of the council, and I know that the diversity component is very important. So we welcome all ages, and I think Darius just brought a fresh and new perspective that we haven't seen in a while. But given that you had served previously, obviously you were younger. What what differences do you see now from your previous service with the council?
There's still a need to, as Darius said, to change how we prospectively look at HIV/AIDS, and you know, he talked about being informed and educated, and you know, he's a young Black man that is so much needed in our community, and that's why I really thought about whether or not should come back onto this committee, because I think it's about my brothers and sisters that have that are minority, but they're in a majority, and so this is really tough for me to come back and take a seat. I just want to make sure that if there's someone else that has a different perspective, be the voice, and I'm willing to step back. I've been in this for a long time. I serve on the Community Advisory Board for clinical trials for HIV/AIDS at PACE. I've been doing things for years. I thought, well, you know, maybe I can still provide some foundation, to move council forward in doing some innovative ways of testing and getting individuals to get into care and stay in the care, and not have the stigma of not wanting to get into care just because of shame or guilt or whatever, and to get past that point. And that's why I think mental health connection and addiction connections are so important in fighting the stigma of HIV/AIDS.
Well, I think your humility is admirable, but I think I also think that by being selected as a nominee, your experiences certainly outweighs your humility, and that we would want you to be a part of this body. And I think it would, if I could speak for Mr. Houston, I think the collaboration between the youthful enthusiasm and the seasoned experience that you bring is a strong combination that is necessary in order to make this body thrive and succeed. So again, I couldn't be more excited about the individuals and your willingness to serve in this capacity, no matter your age. This is a very important matter that affects all types of people. So we need to have everyone represented at the table. And so I just want to thank you for your willingness to come back into the fold and lend your knowledge and experience to this body. And with that said, I'm going to open it up to my colleagues. It looks like Councilman Miller is unmuted. I'm not sure if you have a question, Councilman Miller.
Just a comment that I would like to second what the chairperson is saying, that fighting HIV/AIDS is not a sprint race; it's a marathon, and to have someone with your knowledge and experience who has been through it as long as you have, and that you've served on the board before, and you're willing to come back and provide additional service. It's admirable, and I strongly support it. And I just feel that we need the full range of different kinds of experiences, and so I strongly support your nomination, and will vote for it shortly.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Councilman Miller. If none of my other colleagues have any questions, comments, or concerns, thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go back and see if Mr. Or if Leander Lovett, not sure, Leander is okay, I'm getting a no from Melissa. It looks like a no. Okay, all right, so we're gonna move on to Julie Patterson. Julie, if you'll unmute yourself and give us a little bit of your background and why you'd like to serve.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Julie Patterson, and I would like to serve on the Ryan White Planning Council because I believe I can contribute expertise in public health in particular, and a great deal of experience in HIV-related planning and community engagement. I've been active in the fight against AIDS for over 25 years, actually, both in Seattle, Washington, but now here in Greater Cleveland. And I've worked at a number of different nonprofits. I was actually going to say hello, a special hello to Councilman Miller, who came through a training that I ran at the AIDS Task Force several years ago. It would have been in the early 2000s under the Capacity Building Initiative. But I've also worked in academia with Case Western in their public health program, but also at local health departments. And I've done consulting, including a few different stints, both in Seattle with the Ryan White program there, but also with the Planning Council, actually, when it was the Title I Planning Council, and it had been held at the county back in the early 2000s, as well as again in 2015 to 2016, when I supported the Quality Improvement Committee of the present Planning Council at the Board of Health. And I wanted to say a thanks to Melissa for being here today. I think that helps us quite a bit to feel connected to you all and the support we get. I'm actually importantly involved in a number of different things as a volunteer and an advocate. Right now, my involvement includes, similarly to Jeff Mazo, who spoke earlier, with the what's called the AIDS Clinical Trials Unit Community Advisory Board locally. We do quite a bit related to the research and kind of the watchdog role for them. I also sit on a national group called the Social and Behavioral Working Group for the HIV Vaccine Trials Network. And interestingly, a lot of their work has been on COVID these days. So we've been very involved, not only in HIV vaccine trials, but now learning quite a bit about the COVID trials, how to get people involved, and particularly people of color and the Black community involved in those trials. In the past, I've been involved with the Ohio Health Modernization Movement that's fighting stigma by trying to modernize the criminal laws in Ohio that are related to HIV. And I'm a former co-chair of the HIV Prevention Regional Advisory Group, used to be housed at the City of Cleveland in their Department of Public Health, and now has moved to the County Board of Health, which is an exciting collaboration with our Ryan White Planning Council, and that we're hoping to have those folks join us from the prevention community within our Planning Council group. And I couldn't be more thrilled because I'm very passionate about HIV prevention. And so I'm looking forward to that integration. But the key thing I should mention is that I'm currently the director of the AIDS Funding Collaborative. And you may know the Funding Collaborative because the county is a partner in that. It's a public-private partnership. It includes 6 different funders, 3 public and 3 private. And since the beginning, Cuyahoga County has been a major funder and contributor to that. And we're very grateful for the involvement of Sabrina Roberts, who comes and sits on our advisory committee. She's very involved and has been for many, many years. And so you're a strong partner and we're very grateful. And I should mention that the Planning Council, one of the best reasons for me to join is that it helps me to do my job better. And so I'm always happy to be in the meetings. I learned so much that way. And it's been for me many years a goal to sit on the planning council rather than just to serve as staff. But I think, like Jeff, I often felt that wasn't my place to be at the table, that it was really for others and for me to support however I could. So this opportunity is really an exciting one for me. I've been telling everyone about it, and I may have some colleagues who are on YouTube right now watching. Let's see, the other thing I wanted to mention is that the leadership of people living with HIV is one of the things that makes this group so special. And so it's another reason I'm happy to join. So I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Your enthusiasm and experience is also contagious and a welcome asset to the body, I'm sure. And so it's clear to me, again, why you have been nominated. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to my colleagues if you have any questions. No questions going on?
You know, I forgot one thing I meant to say as well. It's another reason why I bring diversity to the group. I know we've been talking quite a bit about age, and that is so important. But I actually live in Geauga County, and you might remember that Melissa Rodrigo mentioned in the beginning that we're a 6-county eligible metropolitan area. And so I believe I'll be the only member who lives in Geauga County. So that's another exciting piece I can bring.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for joining us this morning. And I do believe that the diversity of this group is important because, again, this is an issue that transcends age, gender, sexuality, all of those things. And so we need everybody involved. So your willingness and your knowledge and experience is, again, a welcome asset. So we thank you for taking the time to share with us your desires and how you think you will be an asset to the group. And with that said, I'm going to go on to our next candidate, who
Thank you.
is very welcome, Faith Ross. Ms. Ross, you are up. If you'll unmute yourself and give us a little bit of background and share with us why you'd like to serve.
I am a person. Can y'all hear me first off?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'm a person living with, and I recently moved here from Texas. So it's been about 2 years now. I've been on and helping the planning council for a little over a year. I have the second highest attendance record. The reason I wanted to get involved was because when I was in Texas, I did not have a lot of help when I was first diagnosed. And I actually didn't start medication or getting my life back in order until I came up here and I started getting the help that I needed. So my biggest thing of why I want to be on the planning council is to be able to help others like me who don't necessarily know the steps or where to turn to for help, that they know that they have the options and people who care about, you know, helping them get what they need. And being from Lorain, it's really important to me that the people who don't have the opportunities or things such as like public transportation or, you know, available and near dentistry services and other services that, you know, that Cuyahoga County has, I would like to be able to help reach that, especially in the outlying areas, because we don't have access to that as readily as the bigger area. And so it's just important for the gathering of information that I've been helping with, like the surveys about what the people in Lorain need, is also very important because it also gives the planning council more of an outlook on what not just the majority, but, you know, the minority need, not being from Cuyahoga County.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think I heard you say you came from Texas, and you've been in Ohio for 2 years now?
Yes.
Okay, so how did you learn about the council and this opportunity?
The doctor's office that I am part of out in Lorain County, the nurse has been trying to encourage us and educating us on the planning council and trying to help get a voice from Lorraine County to go and speak and, you know, represent Lorraine County so that we have a voice out there stating what we need, and so that it's not just an assumption of what we need, it's actual, you know, people who are experiencing it. We can have a voice and be like, this is exactly what we need, this is what we're lacking, and to be able to help bridge that gap and what people need in our area has been very uplifting in my life, because I've always been the person that wants to take care of everybody and help and that kind of capacity. So this is just amazing for me to be part of, because I really never taken on anything like this. So to be able to put my passion into helping people who may not feel like they have a voice or anybody there to help them is just amazing to me.
Well, that is encouraging, and I applaud you for taking up the charge, because it is a big responsibility, and so your willingness to serve in this capacity is very noble, and I think that you will be a great voice. It also sounds like you have a little bit of youth on your side too. I might be being presumptuous and making the wrong assumption, but it does sound and appear like we would be one of our younger voices on the body, and so clearly that is something that, you know, we think has been stated that may have been lacking historically. So again, kudos to the administration for selecting such a diverse group of people, and for your willingness to serve. And if there are no questions, are there any questions from my colleagues for Ms. Ross? Going once, going twice. So Ms. Ross, you have gotten off easy today.
Thank you.
We thank you for your willingness to serve. And our next candidate is going to be Ms. Stephanie Washington. I hope I said that right. And if I didn't, please correct me. I see that you are on the call, so I'm not sure if your camera is working. But if it is, if you would be so kind, and then if it isn't, if you will just unmute yourself and give us a little bit of your background. Again, Ms. Washington, you are up. So if you'll just unmute yourself. And maybe.
Hello.
Okay. All right. Hello. How are you?
Hello. Thank you for taking the time out to have me on. Today I'm up under the weather. I just found out on the 18th that I had corona.
Oh no.
And yes, I do. And I'm isolating.
Okay.
But first of all, I want to give thanks to Sharon. I want to give thanks to all of the committees that encouraged me. Naima and everyone encouraged me, because I was living with HIV ever since 1989. And I have a background where I've been in and out of prisons. I've been on drugs. I've been homeless. I have a mental illness. And I have capacity. Now I have 7 years sobriety. I'm drug free. And I started off with, I don't know, y'all don't know the doctor. I think y'all would know the Dr. Jennifer Henham. She the one that got me started into wanting to look at other resources, because she was my doctor since 89. And when I had my stroke in 2014, she told me to get active into something that would stop me from running in and out of prison, drinking and drugging. So while I was in prison, I got with a couple of ladies that was dealing with HIV, and they couldn't seem to have a grip to the HIV was overwhelming them, so they was turning to drugs. So I was a voice there in First Work Prison with them, helping on the board that they had out there in Texas with people that was diagnosed mental illness, homeless, HIV, and imprisonment. And I took it when I came home in 2016. I took it and wanted to do more. And I felt like I went to Sharon, and they put me on the planning council, and they said that I was, I could be a nice candidate. but I have a passion with helping people. I love helping people because for a long time, it took me until 2014 to come to grips with I'm living with this. I was in denial of it. That's why I was using drugs and going to prison and doing all crazy stuff. But today I feel like I reaches out and help people. They not here now, but it's 2 young ladies that live with HIV is in my house. But due to the fact that I'm quarantined now, they can't be here. But they live in my house and they also had drug problems, and I'm their sponsor today. And I goes to the homeless shelters. I talk to people. I talk to anybody on the street about this. If I know diagnosed that you are diagnosed with HIV, and I feel like I can help reach more HIV people that's dealing with drugs and homeless with living with this, then open up and give them my experience, what I went through, to help them want to reach out to get help for their disease of that what we living with today. I ain't gonna say it disease, it's that our uncircumstances that we living with today. So that's why I feel like that's why I stepped up and really want to be on the committee. I've been with them now on planning with sharing them almost going on a year off and on, until this corona came down. I was going to every meeting, every sections, everything until the corona came down, and I wasn't able anymore to go. And that's why I feel like I can be a voice to be on Ryan White.
Well, thank you, Ms. Washington. I think you have certainly laid out a very compelling argument for your nomination, given the number of things that you've experienced. I'm sure you would be very helpful to a number of individuals who are living with the circumstances that you are living with, and some of them are very numerous. So you've tapped into many, I think, areas of general concern relative to our society as a whole. I mean, even from in and out of prison, living with AIDS, mental health. You have a number of life experiences that would be helpful, I think, to this equation as we battle with dealing with these circumstances. So I think that is a tremendous asset, and I will be praying for your healing as you are battling COVID-19. I hope that you do have a speedy recovery, and I thank you for just even in your time of isolation and quarantining, being available, making yourself available for this call. That is tremendous in and of itself. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to my colleagues, and if you have any questions. Councilman Miller, I see you've unmuted.
Yes, to Ms. Washington, I would just like to commend you for your fight and for your resiliency and for dealing with all this stuff that you've dealt with in your life, and be willing to share and give back to others, and to be a part of this committee. And I would also like to wish you a speedy and a complete recovery from that nasty virus, and just thank you very much for stepping up and being willing to serve, and we welcome you and appreciate all the effort you've gone through to fight off some of the serious challenges of life.
Yes,
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Washington? All right, Ms. Washington. Well, listen, we again, I don't think it can be overstated that we commend and applaud your the things that you've been able to overcome, and we uplift the name of the Lord right now, that you will be able to overcome, and pray that you'll be able to overcome the coronavirus as you have overcome so many struggles in your life. I'm not sure if you're a woman of faith, but I'm not shy about mine, so I send these prayers up in in hopes that you will have a speedy recovery and a full and complete recovery. So I thank you right now for your willingness to serve in this capacity. With that said, I am going to go to our final candidate, unless Leander Lovett does not appear, that Leander Lovett has joined or rejoined. So I'm going to go to Kimberlyn Dennis, who I will refer to as our marathon candidate today for sticking it out with us and being the last on board. If you will state your name for the record and give us a little bit of background about why you would like to serve.
Kimberlyn Dennis, good morning, welcome, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm a person that's been living with HIV for 26 years. I'm an advocate in the community. I have a nonprofit organization, Ministry of Hope. Ministry of Hope goes out and educate in the community on HIV/AIDS and sexually transmitted disease and infections. Also contracted with Beachbrook to educate 8th graders. Due to COVID-19, we have been virtually trying to work on virtual classes for the children. It all depend on this, you know, if they're in school, they out of school. So waiting for confirming on that, but we are putting together something for to do virtual education in the schools to continue that. And in the meantime, I've been doing virtual educations with the teen pregnancy. I have one scheduled Thursday with the teen pregnancy, educating them on HIV/AIDS and sexually transmitted diseases and infections. Been serving on planning council for quite some time. When I first came on, I also was under the leadership of Sabrina Roberts and Matt Carroll. I was not informed about HIV, but the advocacy work that I was doing in the community at the time, my caseworker at the AIDS Task Force, Doug Vest, had encouraged me to join Planning Council. And when I joined Planning Council, everything was actually going over my head. I had no idea what they were talking about. I really wasn't grasping on to anything, but it took me to stick with it and stay in there to get the information and education, not only for myself, but for people in the community that I'm so passionate about helping. And I was the only African-American female at the time. So that was another reason why I stayed on Planning Council. And being there for quite some time now, I'm the only African-American woman, female woman, that's one of the Planning Council co-chairs with the other 2 chairs that's appointed. And with that, I have to be present and chairing the meetings, and not only the Planning Council meeting, and I have to be present for all the meetings in case someone doesn't show up for the committee meetings. Then I have to step in and chair that particular meeting if there's a reason why the other 2, we have 2 chairs for each committee meeting. For the Community Liaison Committee meeting, the Strategy and Finance Committee meeting, the Marketing Retention Committee meeting, the Quality Improvement Committee meeting, and Planning Council meeting. So I'm constantly on Zoom conferences now. And it's just a passionate for me to be a part of all that, learning each committee, the importance of each committee, the work that has to be done in each committee, which is great. We have wonderful people that's committed to be on the Planning Council, to come in and roll their sleeves up and do the work and get the work done. It's just amazing, even though during COVID, that we still on task with our work and on task with our plans and getting stuff done. So it's been truly amazing to be a part of this Planning Council and to continue to do the important work for HIV-related healthcare services in the Cleveland TGA area.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I mean, the committee work that it sounds like you've made tremendous growth from where you started to where you are now, and you
Yes.
you have earned a tremendous amount of responsibility in this work that you're doing. So we thank you for your willingness to continue to serve in this capacity.
Thank you.
You touched on African American women. So currently, how many are you? You said you're the only chair. Are you how many other Black women or African American women are a part of the body? Do you know?
We have quite a few now that's committee members and some that's co-chairs and chairs of the subcommittees. I'm the only African American woman, female, that's for the Planning Council with the Planning Council Committee. So they wanted someone that was HIV positive to be on the Planning Council, be a Planning Council chair, along with the 2 chairs that's appointed through the county. So I was nominated for that person, and being on the committee for a long time, I was nominated as one of the co-chairs for Planning Council.
And I guess my question would be, are we as Black women less affected by AIDS and HIV than in the past, or our male counterparts? Can you kind of, do you have any insight relative to why there was such a low representation now, or has our infection rate increased, declined, or is it about the same?
Well, the infection rate always affected African Americans as a whole. So being the only African American woman at the time, it was hard to get other females to be on Planning Council. But due to the awesome work that our strategy and that our market and retention committee does in recruiting people, they recruited quite a few African American women, along with, as you can see, a diversity of all people, because we all, in this together and working together. So it's just a joy for me to see more African American females, as well as all types of people that's of color, and to work with the Planning Council and be a part of this board. So. But back then, when I first came on, it was a very limited amount of African Americans. So that's why it was a passion for me, for females. That's why it was a passion for me to stay on the board, because I was one of the only female representative for the Ryan White Dollars to continue, for our grant to continue and be in compliance.
Okay, and so I'll just ask Melissa that question as far as the infection rate. Are you able to speak to whether it's been consistent, declined, or increasing?
Our infection rates have been consistent with African American women. As far as Planning Council goes, we have 4 non-affiliated African American females, so we are represented at a good rate as far as our whole reflectiveness of our Planning Council body. So I'm happy with the numbers as we stand right now. But as far as disproportionately impacted, African American women are still being disproportionately impacted by HIV as opposed to white females.
Okay. All right. That's and maybe that is some information that you can email. Just nothing that we necessarily have to go on here. That might even be something more suited for Councilwoman Conwell's Health and Human Services meeting. But it is, given this work, we didn't touch on that. And I think that it's important to the mission to know that if, know where we're meeting our goals and where we're missing the mark. So that was my reason for asking Ms. Bennett. And thank you, Melissa, for jumping in and helping us out with that question. So,
Madam Chair, if I could just add one additional, are still our most disproportionately impacted folks that are being impacted by HIV are young Black and Hispanic men that have sex with men. That's where our infection rates are the highest. So we try to focus efforts on those that are disproportionately impacted. And then when I say that, I mean under 35. So we look at it at different cohorts of 19 to 24, 25 to 29, and then 30 to 34 are our target areas of folks that are being disproportionately impacted. And like I said, the focus is Black and Hispanic men that have sex with men.
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
Sure.
And I would, at the risk of going just a little bit longer, I would just open it up to you if there is anything else that you think that is important for anyone who might be watching or viewing, or even for our audience on this call now, that we might want to share relative to the great work that's being done, or what is there anything else, anything more you'd like to say or share with us?
Sure, Madam Chair. This last year has been very exciting for the HIV programming here at the Cuyahoga County Board of Health. This past year in February, we received the HIV prevention grant. It was at a different health department, and it has since moved over to the Cuyahoga County Board of Health, which lends us the opportunity to really leverage existing programming and funding to better serve the community, to do a better reach, to make sure that we are looking at all data and that we are making intensive, deliberate data making decisions regarding programming. Last year, our president decided to put an initiative out to end the HIV epidemic, which has then since provided additional funding opportunities. Cuyahoga County was listed as one of the 48 counties in the country to end this HIV epidemic, and we have to meet certain deliverables within 5 and 10 years. So we are working very hard as during the current landscape as we can. Obviously, putting a global pandemic in during this time of trying to stand up a program and the HIV epidemic, it's added a couple monkey wrenches in, but we are working very hard in regards to trying to meet the deliverables and establish new programming and really get to where we need to be to end the HIV epidemic. So these next 10 years, I'm very excited to work with the community and the HIV Planning Council to really look at new initiatives to address this initiative of ending the HIV epidemic.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We appreciate everyone coming and taking the time. Now, we had 2 candidates that were unable to join us today, so I'm going to lean on my honorary parliamentarian, Councilman Miller. How do we proceed with making sure that we that all those who were in attendance move forward, but we amend to table Tracy Lamar Johnson and Leander Lovett, or hold them into the next meeting?
So if you can take them, you could make a motion to amend and take the 2 names out. But if you did so, then at the next meeting, a new piece of legislation would have to be introduced that includes the 2 names. They could not just be held over by themselves without having legislation.
Okay, understood. That is the way I think I would like to proceed. I think especially as it relates to such great work, and when people are have made the concessions and accommodations to join us, and whatever circumstances are prohibiting from joining us today, I think it is incumbent upon us to give them a chance to be heard by the audience as well as this body. So with that said, I'd like to amend the legislation to omit C and D, Tracy Lamar Johnson, and D, Leander Lovett. Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
Okay. It's been seconded by Councilman Miller. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the amendment? If there are none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so then I'd like to make a motion to move this to the full body of the council as amended under second reading suspension. Do I have a second?
Second, Miller.
Seconded by Miller. Any questions, comments, or concerns? There being none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, this will, all of the names and individuals who are present today will move to the full body of the council under second reading suspension. Again, I thank you all for joining us this morning. It feels like evening, we've had such a long meeting this morning. Is there any miscellaneous business? There being none, everyone enjoy the day. If you haven't voted early, please do. The Board of Elections has extended its hours from 8 to 6 this week, and they're open every day, including Saturday and Sunday. So please vote, 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 vote like your life depends on it, because in case you haven't noticed, it does. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.